You don't have a ticket. Poor people like you can't possibly appreciate music. I found myself at a classical concert venue thanks to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, but somehow my ticket had gone missing. The sneers and judgmental stares were palpable. How dare someone like you try to mingle with us? Go home. I was being blatantly discriminated against. But just as I was feeling utterly defeated, my mother-in-law stepped in to help. Little did my sister-in-law know, her own world was about to collapse. My name is Betty. I've loved music since I was a child. Being surrounded by the melodies that moved me was pure joy. But I was shy and introverted, so I mostly played with toy instruments alone. My family wasn't wealthy, so music lessons were out of the question. When I was in elementary school, I eagerly joined the wind ensemble and stuck with it through high school. However, in group settings, I always felt like I was dragging everyone down, which became a source of trauma for me. It made me uncomfortable in group situations. Even outside of music, I found peace playing an instrument alone, often retreating to a quiet corner of the music room. One day, my music teacher noticed me and introduced me to a well-known musician who recognized a rare talent in me. Unfortunately, my parents, due to our financial situation, couldn't support my passion. I always thought that if I could get proper training, I might overcome my fear of playing in a group. But because of our circumstances, that was never an option. Eventually, I gave up on the idea of pursuing music professionally and settled for enjoying it as a hobby. When I got my first paycheck as an adult, I splurged on a ticket to a classical concert. I was a big fan of a particular family of musicians that I deeply admired. The tickets were expensive, even for the worst seats, but I thought this might be my only chance, so I went for it, with no regrets. The experience was worth every penny, and I was completely satisfied. I'd love to attend more concerts, but with other financial responsibilities, like contributing to my family and saving for a wedding, I can't afford expensive tickets regularly. As for marriage, I'm just waiting to meet the right person. After working for 3 years, my parents started hinting that I should think about my future. Back in their day, people usually got married in their late 20s or early 30s. My mom married my dad around that time too. Nowadays, personal choice is valued more, and my parents understand this, so they don't pressure me. But the lack of pressure sometimes makes me feel like I need to hurry up and get married. Despite having a job, I'm still shy and introverted. I've been invited to group dates by female coworkers, but I never really talked to anyone. Just considering going on a group date was progress for me. So I decided to start with online conversations through a dating app. That's where I met a guy who loves music just as much as I do. We hit it off online, and after exchanging messages for a while, he asked to meet up. When we finally met, I was stunned to realize he was a member of the famous musical family I admired so much. People might wonder why I didn't recognize him from his profile picture, but who would think it was really him? His name was common enough that it didn't raise any suspicions. I figured if he knew I was a fan, he might turn me down. I kept it a secret at first, but eventually I decided to be honest. I told him about my shyness and how uncomfortable I am in large groups. He reassured me, saying he felt the same way. The more we talked, the more we connected, and soon enough, we decided to get married. When I finally confessed that I was a fan, he was genuinely honored, his smile radiant. Everything was going smoothly, and soon we were set to meet his parents. His family was usually busy touring, but there was one day when they would all be home. I nervously entered his house, waiting to meet his parents while his sister-in-law entertained me. She casually mentioned, "As you might know, we're a musical family. If you can't at least play the violin, you're not really part of the family, you know." I was in trouble. I had never touched a violin in my life. The school's band club didn't even have violins. Just when I thought I was doomed, his parents stepped in, saying, "If she has musical skills, any instrument will do." But his sister-in-law insisted on the violin. Then he spoke up, "Mom, don't we have a practice violin we can borrow? Can you give Betty and me some time for a quick lesson?" His mother agreed, smiling, "Why not? It'll be interesting to see what you can do in an hour. A string instrument and a violin at that." I wasn't confident I could even make a sound in just an hour. But he reassured me, "Trust me, Betty, you'll be fine." I took his word for it and even asked my mother-in-law if I could borrow her violin. It was my first time holding a violin, let alone playing one. Honestly, I was terrible. But "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" was a song I knew well. so I focused on putting emotion into my playing since my technique was non-existent. "You're doing great, Betty," my mother-in-law encouraged me. "Just making a sound on the violin is hard. You've come a long way, especially considering it's your first time. You're giving the music the respect it deserves." My husband also praised me, saying, "You move me," and gave me a big round of applause. The only one who looked unimpressed was my sister-in-law. I guess she expected me to embarrass myself and never imagined I'd actually be liked by her mother. And so I was accepted into this musical family and officially became a married woman. Though my relationship with my father-in-law and mother-in-law was good, a problematic dynamic with my sister-in-law began to emerge. She started picking on me, making snide remarks, and harassing me. She was very pushy and always retaliated if I talked back. But I didn't have the courage to stand up to her, which seemed to irritate her even more. The harassment intensified when the family was on tour. On days when my sister-in-law didn't have performances due to the tour schedule, it was just the two of us left at home. Although we had a housekeeper, my sister-in-law insisted that I should cook. After tasting my cooking, she would always say it was awful and poorly made. Even when she told me to remake the meal, she'd throw it away right in front of me, saying she didn't want to eat it anymore. She even spilled soup intentionally and did things like stepping on the small of my back or putting her foot on my head. Even during family dinners, she'd call me to the bathroom, saying, "When will you learn proper table manners? I don't want to share a table with someone like you." While my husband, father-in-law, and mother-in-law thought I was improving, my sister-in-law would say, "I can't believe you can't even manage that." I didn't think I was as ill-mannered as she claimed, but the sadness and frustration of not being acknowledged made me feel pathetic. After she left, I'd hide and wipe away my tears. Then my husband would come, saying I was worried when you didn't come back. "Wait, why are you crying? Is she giving you a hard time? Don't hold back, tell me everything." What a sweet man. I almost confessed, but I heard the joyful laughter from the family gathering and didn't want to upset him just for me. I thought if I could be patient, it would keep the peace. "No, it's not like that. I get along with her," I said. But he persisted. "But you were crying." I quickly covered, I was just so happy to be married and accepted by everyone. I couldn't help but cry. My husband seemed to ponder briefly but soon agreed, "Yeah, you're right." He then took my hand, saying, "Let's continue with dinner," and led me back to the dining table. It seemed we'd finally get some downtime with my father-in-law and mother-in-law, who even suggested going to a classical music concert as part of welcoming me. Listening to various performers and interpretations from different conductors can be enlightening, they said. They asked me which concert I'd like to attend, so I recommended one they had previously enjoyed. We found out they could possibly get tickets through a connection they had, but my sister-in-law insisted on handling the tickets, claiming she had some pull with the people involved. On the day of the event, we arrived at the venue, and my sister-in-law headed over to the staff entrance. After a brief chat with the staff, she returned with something that looked like tickets. One by one, she handed them out to everyone, except me. "People who are broke wouldn't understand music anywhere, right?" she sneered. "Excuse me, you and I are on different levels. Know your place and go home. You don't belong here." My husband offered to ask if there were any spare tickets available, but I didn't want to worsen my sister-in-law's mood and make things uncomfortable for everyone else, so I decided it was best to leave and started pulling my husband away. But then my mother-in-law, who had been silent, intervened. "Wait, Betty, you're not the one who needs to leave. It's her who's always mistreating you," she said, pointing at my sister-in-law. "Why me?" my sister-in-law protested. "Listening to music has nothing to do with being rich or poor. People have their own ways to enjoy it. It's not for others to interfere," my mother-in-law scolded. Sister-in-law, who had always been cold to me, shot back, "You think I don't know? It's obvious something's been going on behind my back." "That's not true," my mother-in-law responded calmly. "But I find your envious heart far more impoverished." My brother-in-law, who had been quiet until now, chimed in. "Aren't you always sleeping through concerts? You may not realize it, but it's glaringly obvious." He chuckled, adding, "Sure, you graduated from a music conservatory and won some awards, but you became complacent and stopped improving. If you're going to talk about what music is, then you should first strive to be better yourself." Brother-in-law regretted that he couldn't be more straightforward with his wife about her lacking skills and attitude as a musician. but doing blatant harm to his brother's wife was something he couldn't stomach. You have neither awareness nor ambition as a musician. I think it's time for you to leave our family. I'm tired of supporting someone who shows no promise of growth, he said, seizing the opportunity to finally express his frustration. You're one to talk, old lady, his sister-in-law retorted, her voice dripping with disdain. Your music sense is so outdated I can't even listen to it. It's the sound of someone who caters to the poor. So of course, I'd be thrilled to leave this awful musical family. Her strong words echoed in the room as she declared she would go solo, make a fortune, and prove everyone wrong. I had always thought people like her were incapable of self-reflection, but I didn't expect this level of rage. In the end, she stormed off, throwing a concert ticket on the ground. My mother-in-law calmly picked it up and handed it to me. Let's go, she said, taking my hand, and we walked out together. My second experience with a classical concert was truly moving. Different musicians and conductors bring a unique vibe and structure to the same piece. I marveled at how the same composition could sound so different, discovering new interpretations and learning so much. My mother-in-law seemed to notice my enthusiasm. After the tension between my brother-in-law and sister-in-law reached a boiling point, their marriage eventually ended in divorce. My former sister-in-law hastily organized her solo concert, ignoring advice and overconfidently renting a venue that held 5,000 people. Even popular classical concerts rarely fill such large spaces, so it was no surprise when tickets didn't sell. She ended up buying many herself to make the hall look less empty. Her merchandise sat unsold, leaving her with an overstocked warehouse. Her second solo concert was equally disastrous, attracting only a handful of attendees. Lacking both talent and a likable personality, she became unpopular, and online criticism abounded. Unable to pay her staff or cover other costs, she quickly sank into debt. Attempts at street performances were met with harsh comments like, "You're terrible, stop annoying us," and even resulted in water being thrown at her. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law suggested that I should get professional music training, given my apparent talent. I was both surprised and delighted by the suggestion, though I felt it was a bit late to start learning an instrument, but it felt like an opportunity I had once given up on was presenting itself again, and I couldn't believe it. I was told the choice of instrument was up to me, and I'm considering the violin, especially since my husband has been helping me with it. My mother-in-law found a top-notch instructor who has nurtured many skilled violinists. I even began accompanying the family on their concert tours and helping out behind the scenes. Every day feels blissful as I spend more time with music and feel myself improving. My current dream is to perform solo, accompanied by my husband on the piano.